almost exactly what he did in the group stage, just swaps glaives out for a good upgrade, swaps the adepts for good units, then I think he absolutely wins that series. So let's see what he's got. Down to the bottom left-hand side, representing Good Game Gaming, this is Cyan.
And the top right, he's inevitable. He heals all wounds. And from Kaiser Gaming, he also plays Terran. This is Time.
Very early probe coming across the map there for Cyan. Well, not, sorry, very early, but a gate scout. So a very respectful probe, I guess I should say. Going to kind of, you know, harass the barracks SCV, try and delay the command center a little bit. And I would expect that to potentially be followed up by a very quick adept. Now, Cyan also sent a probe to the low ground to check for an engineering bay block. So this is really just kind of dotting his I's, crossing his T's. He's just, you know, making sure he is not getting caught off guard. As I think that's a good way to start things off. Time does like to start a series with a little bit of extra flavor. He tried that against Max Head with the proxy starport, which got caught immediately. So I think good understanding of how his opponent likes to play. Cyan goes for the Cyber Core into the Nexus. One more probe before putting the pylon down, and I prefer that. I think that's a more optimal opening, which, interestingly enough, Max Head and a lot of the other Protoss players prefer to get that pylon 1 supply earlier. So I think Cyan here just a little bit more economic than some of his Protoss counterparts.
Well, I'm glad that you're pleased, Pig, which I'm sure Cyan is very concerned about.
I think his bank is what's going to be the most pleased, Maynard. A rich Protoss is a happy Protoss. More Protoss units for days. And I think that speaks to Cyan's style. I was mentioning it before, like defending with a handful of units. He's a great macro Protoss. His folly in at least one of their games of the previous series was too greedy. You know, it was okay. Like you're actually going 4 base, 70 probes versus a guy on 2 base essentially with a third command center, but no probes for it, no SCVs for it. So he's gonna go Twilight this time around. Is Cyan, and that probe of course did scout the bunker going up. So I think that's kind of cute the way Cyan checks for the bunker. I think if there's no bunker, he tries to get across the map a little bit more urgently, but seeing the bunker in the command center, he's just like, no worries. Probe goes back home across the left side of the map. Second gateway at the front, and it's going to continue to keep that adept locked outside.
Yeah, Reaper's still poking here for Time as he rounds out the 1-1-1, going for the single Hellion here, which saw Coffee do on his game. I think on Light Shade he did that. And Time really, you know, a lot of Terrans really like this build at the moment in TVP, just to have a much better shot at getting the scout off without having to burn a scan or dedicate a Widowmine drop or something to that effect.
Yep, potentially does some damage as well. Catch him with no shield battery. Always funny when a Hellion drives in and kills like 3 or 4 probes, and you're like, oh my lord, that was not meant to happen. And here we go, Reaper Alien coming on in. Robo is on the way, so it's a looks like a 2-gate Robo link opening here. Adept nicely micro dodges the grenade and says, oh, wants to take out that Hellion.
Not quite enough hit points down on that Hellion. That thing is 1 shot, maybe 1 hit point. We do have the medevac coming forward with the Widowmines a little bit later. Actually, 2 health points. Thank you, Observer. And as Time gets his second barracks, heading towards that third barracks next, he's got to do the add-on swaps to start getting his important bio upgrades. But of course, Cyan drops his third. He knows he's fine.
Yeah, this is it's good to see this kind of, you know, this shows the difference with the players. Where Max said it's kind of doubling down on super safe openings. Cyan here does get a glimpse of that medevac. Not sure if he noticed it though. He's going for the more super kind of balanced on a knife's edge 2-gate Robo, right? He's going to go straight up to 4 gas. So I'm thinking probably into Colossus behind this. Otherwise, you know, a little strange to go for so much gas so quickly. And the Adept does actually get on inside, sees extra barracks on the way, so he knows it's 3 barracks before 3rd command center. The Adept does go down, but I think well worth that sacrifice. Not the most useful unit. Now, how many Stalkers? Could we see the units tab as this Widowmine drop comes in? Because there's a pylon well positioned, but 6 Stalkers only. And okay, they do shuffle up into the main base. It takes 9 Stalker shots to kill a medevac, 3 volleys.
All right. The medevac actually just straight up nopes out of that drop strategy for now. Going to chill in the area of the of the map where there's nothing that the Protoss can do about it unless they have a flying unit. Nothing is in range of that medevac, so he can sit there and pressure. Maybe if Time hits the front door with a few other units and distracts Cyan, maybe makes him 1A all of his Stalkers back to the front door, then the medevac can come in and hit him when he's not expecting it. Because right now, Cyan is definitely expecting it. Those Stalkers are microing around back and forth there in the main base. Templar Archives coming down pretty fast here with charge and also 4 more gateways.
It's going to be Storm. I mean, this is so good for stopping these 3 barracks pushes, right? Zest is really the guy who pioneered this about 2 months ago is when he started doing this, and he started crushing all of these 3 barracks, 2 base pushes that were coming back in the meta. And I love to see it. It is already starting up. As long as he makes High Templar straight away, non-stop, gets 3 or 4 out to bank up some storms, should be ready for the push. And this is such a great way to play. Now, you look at this, you go, how can you get a storm and a fully saturated third? Isn't this so greedy? The thing is, he skips upgrades. And those are going to be a lot delayed. But as long as you've got splash damage and a good economy, you've got good gateway production, it doesn't really matter too much. You know, you can start your forges like 7.5, 8 minutes into the game, and you're still going to be in a really good position as long as those Storms land.
Gets the Observer, nice pick off there. Denying any information or getting any kills here against the Protoss is good to start things off, but you're quite right on the Storm. Getting Storm this quickly, not every Protoss is doing it. It can be a little bit unconventional and unpredictable, and you know, time is strongest against the more predictable, more quote-unquote standard players. Oh, getting some nice catches on those Stalkers, though. Damn. Few nice Stalker kills. Didn't even really need to stim a whole lot to get them either.
This is like such a low Stalker build to begin with, so that's especially painful for Cyan. Now, he does actually already have a Storm drop. Oh, my lord. He's looking to intercept it.
No, the split from time. Damn.
Yeah, great split. I think a bit of an overcommitment. Cyan should have backed on out of that. Now, Time is going to continue to push forward. Siege tanks, of course, very good for anchoring this, but the Zealot count is growing. I don't think he has the numbers to engage just yet unless he lands giant Storms, though, and the Prism a bit far behind.
Prism showing up now with those High Templar. He's got 1, 2 Storms. Here we go, but they've all been expended, and now the Terran army is encroaching upon this third base. Oh, of course, got the shield battery here for the overcharge. Is there enough healing to outdo the DPS of the Terran army? He's got +1, so maybe not. The Archon gets picked off as well. Cannot get saved from the Prism while it's morphing. And in comes the tank. Times rally. Looking a little bit too strong for Cyan in game 1.
Oh, I feel like this was such a good position for Cyan to be in. But the way Time just evaded those storms, I mean, Cyan was basically there saying, it's time for your bath, you dirty Terran player. And Time just wriggled out of Cyan's grasp, said, no, Mum, no, I'm not getting in the bath. You're not scrubbing behind my ears. The storms did very little there, and Cyan just got a little bit over-eager. He was looking for that perfect scenario where you storm the Marines in a big clump halfway across the map where they don't expect you, right? He was looking for that big surprise storm. But the moment he saw Time spread backwards from him, he should have just picked back up into the Prism, pulled back, and kind of been a little bit more patient and posturing with it. But the moment he burnt that storm early, it was already like, oh, okay, not the best start. But then when he engaged, his Zealots were way too far in front of his Prism. And that meant all of his Zealots were getting gunned down. You need the Zealots to kill the tanks. So the idea is the Zealots shift-click the tanks, and then you drop the storms. So the Bio, even though they don't die to the storms, they're running away from the storms. And then the Zealots kill the tanks, and you pull back. And if they don't have the siege tanks, you can defend at the batteries. But notice here, look at that. Just way too slow on those storms. Very poorly placed on the first one on the left as well. And then even the Stalkers going down. Great micro from Time. Loses 2 siege tanks. Still wins the game with just a handful of bio. Cyan on 66 workers. If he defends this push, he is in a fantastic position. But better execution for the veteran.
Yeah, indeed. And great killer instinct as well. Just his complete confidence, knowing that he's going to be just fine against a guy with Storm, with Prism, and a good read. Just a great read on the situation. A lot of Terrans, retreat with their tail between their legs. But as Pig mentioned, he was avoiding bath time. Basically, you need to play TVP like a slippery child.
Refuse to get into the Storm at all costs. Yeah, and it's crazy because Storm is such a game-changing destructive spell when it catches a Terran unawares.
Oh, yeah.
And you see just how important it is. Like, you do some good spreads, you're aware of what's happening. Time super quick on the ball there, and I think this is one of those tactics that was so powerful when it first entered the meta because it was always a shock. But I think Time here shows that he's pretty ready for it.
He certainly was. Will he be ready in game 2? Let's find out together after the break, chat. So don't go away. We'll see you then. G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back to the DreamHack Masters Fall Chinese main event here. I'm Maynard, with me as Pig. We're in our final best of 5 for the evening, but we're in the early stages, so plenty more StarCraft to come. Time, the reigning champion of this region for the last 4 seasons in a row, winning game number 1 against Cyan. Not surprising too many people here.
Indeed, he looked pretty dominating with the way he did it. I talked about how good Cyan is at just defending with a handful of units at his shield batteries. Well, he went out front of the shield batteries this time around with a very clever way of dealing with a tank push, and I think it is honestly the perfect unit set, but a slight mis-execution with the syncing up of that engage. It's not easy to storm drop and at the same time focus down siege tanks and then pick up your High Templar and get the heck out of dodge, which is what the plan was. Ended up only getting 2 of the tanks and losing all of his splash damage and zealots in the process. But I think the plan was very solid for Cyan. I love that strategy. I think it is one of the most frustrating things for a Terran who likes playing 3 racks bio tank pushes to go up against. It really creates a problem if he can pull that strategy off. But that is a big if. The fact that it didn't go right in the first game, of course, does slow down his momentum. Let's see if he can claw it back. In the bottom left-hand side, in the red, the Protoss player. Representing Good Game Gaming, it is Cyan.
And up at the top right here from Kaiser Gaming, currently 1 up in the series. The Terran in the blue, the reigning champ. He is Time.
"2,000 atmospheres, the bottom of the ocean floor," a very interesting and exciting map. Interestingly, we haven't seen players really skip scouting too much versus Time. I think that's because he is known to mix in a cheeky proxy once in a while, and they do like to just kind of double check what's up. Of course, also, the probe is useful, you know, it harasses the barracks SCV, can delay the command center potentially, so it's often considered just a worthwhile investment for most Protoss players.
Some early game probe on SCV love here, as is tradition for TVP. And Cybercore first again from Cyan before the Nexus. Which is always interesting to me. It really feels like a freebie against Time to just go Nexus first. Or not Nexus first, but Gateway Nexus.
Yeah, the earlier Nexus. Well, I agree, especially here. I'm like, I was kind of thinking, like, on this map, it's been very common for Time to open up 3 racks, and for whatever reason, the Terrans have been doing a lot of the reactor first opening on this map. So the probe will be able to spot that out, as it does hang around for a fair while, and of course the marine production is so late. But Cyan doesn't risk going up the ramp, so he doesn't know just yet about that reactor first. He's going to be going through a quick adept. SCV comes over. And I always feel like in this particular scenario, this opening is an advantage for the Terran against the core before Nexus, just because Time scouted so late, right? So he's kind of like, whew, not getting proxy void raid, that's good. You know, not getting totally cheesed out with a max fax or something, because that would be a disaster for him. And he just gets marines out 2 at a time, can potentially skip the bunker here. He's going a factory afterwards, but it looks like it's a little further away from the barracks, so I don't think we'll see a swap over onto that. You know, sometimes you see the 6 marine, 2 Hellion push. Looks like this will probably just be like, you know, Widow Mine drop, maybe 1 Hellion for scouting, that sort of thing.
As the adept comes up towards the natural, Time has been reactoring out of marines, and if you go reactor first, you have the benefit of being able to not only fight back the initial adept, but if there's 2 adepts, you can actually meet them in combat sometimes. That's once you get up to 6 and chase them down. We've seen that from actually Coffee in his series earlier. Hey, all right. Starport proxy on the left side here from Time.
Oh, so I think he's going to do the 3 Hellion drop, right? Yeah. Just where the, like, is it like 10, 12 Marines hit the front of the natural, and then bam, 3 Hellions drop in the main? And that's really cute, right? Because you don't expect it. If you've seen the barracks on the reactor, like, it's just unexpected. Normally it's Widow Mines if the factory is not on the reactor, so it's a really cool mix-up. He's even going to go with 6 Marines to start. Shield battery's not ready, Maynard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a weird attack, but it actually, in theory, works out here because there's no shield battery. The Hellion even coming for a little bit extra DPS and then adept. Oh, this dive, though.
What a surprising tactic here from Time. The Marines are going to come on in. 1 Marine is gone down, but now the probes are, of course, in danger. I do like that he pulls them away for now. Stalker's trying to warp on in. Cyan making the most of a bad situation, but he does take 1 big Hellion splashy on the probes. 6 workers and an adept are going to be, I believe, the cost at the end of the day here. So you know what? Cyan defends.
He lost a Stalker to the Hellion.
Ouchies. That is not something you see every day.
No. Actually, can't remember the last time a Hellion killed a Stalker, but there you go. And I mean, the starport decides to fly back home to be a normal starport. Stalker's moving up to this starport, beelining up there to try and gun it down.
Oh, he's going to get caught, and that's only a 2 Hellion drops. That's already Blink's going to finish as well, so he could Blink on that medevac potentially. It kicks in now, a little bit too late, but you know what? 2 Stalkers in the main, so Cyan's going to clean up the follow-up. He hides these Stalkers back just a little bit, and Time not going to be able to find anything just yet. He's going to try and rotate the medevac. Cyan is, of course, only up a couple of probes, which is pretty bad for the Protoss player in this sort of circumstance. 3-gate. Robo Blink is on the way. The Hellions are going to just run on into that natural. Takes 2 shots to kill probes. They'll get at least a couple.
Yeah, they get 2 here for their trouble. Oh, nice big stack off the probes, but they won't get that money shot, for lack of a better term there, on those probes. Don't quite get it. The Prism is out for Cyan, so he's looking to try and return the favor here on Time. Medevac's dead. Good pick off there. Very nice. Time does have a siege tank pretty deep in the main base, though, sort of foreseeing that this is the likely follow-up from the Protoss.
Indeed, that tank is so far back. This is looking like no real weak spot here. He's going to try to go in as the bunker isn't quite finished, but immediately I think he's going to feel a little bit of regret there. Doesn't lose any Stalkers, though. Wow, great Prism Micro. Really well done. And then can just... Oh, he's actually out of range.
Wow. Yeah, so that tank is a little bit too far back there to handle this edge of the main base. Cyan finds a sweet spot here and starts finding damage on the add-ons here of the Terran, also forcing a lift up on that barracks. Time has another tank. Now this one's in range. Good Blink from Cyan, though. All the Stalkers still alive and all pretty healthy. Switches and rotates to the natural. SCV's ready for the repair. And the tank rotating here as well. And until that thing sieges up, this is going to be all Cyan here. Gets 4 SCVs for his trouble.
Good damage here for Cyan, just chipping away. Of course, Time's equal on workers, which is always good for the Terran. But as long as you don't throw these Storms away, you're good. He's going to go for the tank. The Command Center actually blocks that. Does get cancelled there by Time. Oh, really?
I think he killed it there. The SCV's getting pulled. And I mean, obviously a lot more of them are going to go down here during the rotation of those Stalkers from out of the main into the safety. But oh, a little bit of miscontrol there from Cyan. Loses 3 or 4 Stalkers in the meantime. Actually, okay, I don't see the dead command center there, so you're right, it might have been a cancel.
I'm not sure if that shows up on battle reports to buildings normally.
Okay.
Because I know Shift L.
I'm not 100% on that. Yeah, Shift L.
I think Shift L, would show us. But no,
okay,
so
no,
it
got cancelled. Okay.
I didn't see the money pop up either, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
There was so much going on, though, so I guess easily missed in a big battle like that. Must have been the plus 300 and all returned. Stalker drop comes on in, the Max Ed special, and once again, so good at finding the edge of that tank range. Meanwhile, though, big push coming out through the middle. I think he may have caught 1 or 2 Stalkers out front there as well with that army, and this is looking fantastic for Time. Oh, dude. Yeah. Who needs stim? I mean, I think he has stim, but who needs shields and everything? He says, no, I'm just going to push before you're ready. You're trying to do this cheeky charge, you know, Templar Archives business. None of that is ready just yet. All you've got is a bunch of Stalkers, and he's just going to charge on in there. Not that many units for Time, but even less for Cyan.
Yeah, and that's the problem. You know, he's just like, I've killed a lot of SCVs. How are you? I can't believe you've done this, but you haven't killed the army, Cyan, and that army is looking scary. These guys got charged, though. Charge lots getting on top of the tanks. They kill one. They don't kill the second. Oh, now the Zealot just gets the second tank. I don't know if Time's got the firepower anymore after losing those tanks.
Not with the Immortal here, that's for sure. And Cyan, the master of defending with that battery overcharge and a handful of units. I said it before, but he is not out of the woods yet. He's up 16 workers. He needs to be doing nothing but pumping units for the next minute or two because Time's going to rotate in towards the left side. Looks like he's going to pick up an elevator up into that main base potentially. And the map vision for Cyan is 0. It's diddly squat. He can't see anything right now. And he's got Stalkers in the main, other units over at the third base. Army pushes towards the natural. I think he has enough to defend this with the right engage, but will he be able to find that?
With a good number of charge lots, absolutely. Stalker's a little bit out of position, though. And he does get the gateway here, but does Time get anything else a little bit more critical, a little bit more of a soft underbelly damage here to the Protoss? Doesn't quite get it, though. You know, things like an Archon pickoff would be fantastic here. He's going to get the Archon on the right side. Time just happy to stand there and trade here.
That's good for Cyan, I think, at the end of that. He does get that medevac as well with the Marines in it. Very well done there as well. Storm is now starting 1-1 upgrade. Cyan says, I finally pushed you back. Let's go to the next step. And with that probe advantage that he's got, This is really good for Cyan. Now, he still has very little map vision, so he's rebuilding observers, which I love to see. I wouldn't mind him putting some pylons around the map as well. He's loading up a zealot drop to keep his opponent at home. You can see Cyan here has just got through a very dangerous stage of the game. Is like, okay, all that stuff I normally would have set up in a more chill opening, let's do that now. Map vision, upgrade, splash damage, do a bit of zealot pressure. And Time, without as many resources at his disposal, is not going to be able to kind of rush up the tech tree nearly as fast, but does still have a very large standing army because of the way that Terran production ekes out.
Two Vikings. Wrong shoes for this club, mate.
Run, unload. Okay, it does save the Prism for now. I wouldn't mind him just rotating that around the left side of the map and try and drop the natural a little bit later. Fourth Nexus on the way very early for Cyan. His greed on that fourth base got him into trouble last time around against Time. So I don't want to see too many probes. In fact, I'd be okay with no probes for Cyan and nothing but army for a little bit longer before he thinks about that next step. You know, Maynard, I think Storm Drop, I've talked about how much I love it against the tank style, and Time's doing nothing but building tanks. No Widow Mines. Zealot, Archon, Storm, amazing. The two Vikings, though, if they're in the fight, they will kill a yellow hit point Prism so quickly. So if Cyan puts all of his High Templar in that Prism, he's going to be in for a nasty surprise. I like that half of his High Templar are just hanging out on the ground there.
Yeah. Time is locked down here at the third base, though. You see some differences between some of the other Terrans is that these worried about the counterattack while attacking. He's not all defend or all attack at any point. Not sending too much of an investment out, actually. He's just sort of taking a little bit of the map away from the Protoss, grabbing a little bit more map control, not even threatening. Just posturing, I guess is the word here. There's that second Robo and a Robo Bay coming down for Cyan as well. Heading towards that late game tier 3 Robo tech. It's always scary for Terrans.
Fourth Command Center Drilling Claws 2-2 upgrades for Terran are a little ahead, but with the 2-2 on the way for Cyan as well, I don't think it's too bad. Nice observer snipe there for Time. And this is cool. We're going to get to see some true late game in this match and see who's got the ability to take the other one down there. I mean, even selling like Drilling Claws, you know, that's such a rare thing to see added in. I don't even know if there's a single Widow Mine on the map, to be honest, so I'm not sure if I can really argue for it.
I mean, better to have it and not need it than the other way around, right?
No, that's objectively wrong, Maynard. You'd rather have the money.
So no, Maynard, this is StarCraft, okay? This isn't... You're not investing in blue chip stocks, mate. It's...
Well, Zealot Run By does see that he's moving out to that fourth with the SCVs already Maynarding over there. You see Time kind of doing that even before the fourth command center comes over because he says, look, we're going to the late game. Like, let's just get everything done. Get my production up, get my upgrades. And now as he moves on the map, Time's going to shift his focus massively into army movement because he's got that super technical siege tank ghost army.
Oh, man.
We've talked about how it's so good if it's sieged up in a frontal fight, but if Cyan can kind of ambush him with the disruptors a bit, the Psy Storms, get out in front of this, I think that's going to give him a much better chance. He can't sit back and let that army siege him.
Time saw that rotation of charge loss on the right side, broke off two medevacs.
I think he lost the warp prism there.
Really?
Yeah, he tried to fly forward with the prism.
Didn't kill the prism.
Maybe it survived. It looks like it's now
Still
up
there.
on the left side. Okay, good pullback. Zealots aren't really finding massive damage, but this is a scary push. He's coming in with a big army. The storm drop from the left side does some big damage. Big storms!
Those last two storms were absolutely amazing. Time crashing in with his army, though. He's just got huge numbers. The Immortals, the Robo has been killed. And yes, the upgrades, Pig, you're absolutely right. The upgrade timing here for Time is absolutely catastrophic for Cyan. A big power spike for the Terran army.
2-2 versus 1-1. The 2-2 kicks in now for Cyan, just after the battle's ended. What a brutal timing attack there from, of course, Timing attack master Time. Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. He is a beast. He's amazing. And he's got enough medevacs that he's healed up most of his bio. I wonder if Cyan could have shuffled back into a shield battery overcharge with his Colossus, right? Because if his Colossus survived a little bit longer in that engage, it might have been able to change things. However, I looks like at the end of the day, Time there, you know, he literally weathers the storm of splash damage coming his way. Some of his bio did evade that side storm, especially on the right side. It was his tanks and the left side that ate the big storms. I don't think there was any disruptors out in that fight. Was there, Maynard?
No, I don't think there was any disruptors in that game, actually. It was pretty much... He was at the Colossus phase still because he went pretty hard into the Templar tech to start things off with. You can't really afford to do all those things. So the Templar Prism stuff, it takes a little bit of control, but can be extremely good if you pull it off. And a couple of those storms are really, really good, especially the last 2 storms from Cyan, that final engagement. But Time just had too many units, and he had the upgrade advantage that was just a little bit too strong in the end.
It was a really good start for Time. I mean, that first little poke was so effective, and then like, hats off to Cyan for defending this attack. I mean, this was so well done with so few units. I mean, you could argue that Time did get ahead of himself with this push. You know, he committed super duper hard, and that's a very binary move. Now the storm's coming in, great storms. You saw that bio in the back that evaded it all, and then they come on in, and a lot of those High Templar, I think 2, maybe 4 of them didn't morph into Archons, didn't get back to the battery overcharge, and was just a little short on the overall units. Time had the 2-2 versus 1-1 advantage. I think a couple of disruptors could have helped that out. Likewise, I mean, I like that he tried to kind of catch the tanks on siege, which he did very well. You'd think that fight would go to the Protoss, but the numbers, the upgrades for Time there, and just a fantastic way of spreading, executing that attack. I do wonder, you know, do disruptors make a difference there? Is it the Zealots needed to flank a little bit more? However, the case is, it ends up being just damned well executed. Maybe needed just a few more Zealots, just a few more meaty units in the mix. But you got a master of EMPs, tanks, bio spreads, and all the rest. Dude, Time, he's looking really solid in this series. That championship caliber is coming back. No more shakiness in this one.
Yeah, maybe it was that good sleep. Maybe it's because we both predicted him, and, you know, pro gamers have a propensity to embarrass commentators. It could be any of those things, or a mixture of them. You know, a little bit of column A and B. With Time just looking like the Time of old, like last season. The dominant guy that's just a level above everyone else from his side of the world. And we are getting amongst it, guys. In the top left here, on match point, having an incredible series so far. Looking to try and close it out in a clean sweep. From Kaiser Gaming, this is Time.
And having a rough time of it so far in this series. Needs to win 3 games in a row. He's looking pretty good so far, but with his defensive style, is it going to be enough? In the bottom right, this is Cyan. Good game gaming.
He's a good gamer from Good Game Gaming.
No skipping on the Probe Scout at all. Definitely, it's like one of those things that Cyan has not dabbled in this series. We've talked about it. Is skipping the Probe Scout potentially one of the games, and going Nexus before Cybercore. Because what has he actually achieved with those early adepts? A little bit of scouting, bit of pokey poke. Not really done that much. So I do think there is room for opening variation. I think often when you see a player as solid mechanically and macro-wise as Cyan, they tend towards this more repeatable play. They're like, no, like this is the opening I'm like really good at. It's really nice. It's super solid. But, you know, a guy like Haas would just be like, lol, no scout, Nexus before core. Hey, I'm up a couple hundred minerals compared to you, and it's just easier to make this blink attack work, or it's easier to squeeze this or that in. So I do really like it when a player is a little bit more open to making some cheeky adjustments and gambles. Parting, I think, being probably the highest level Protoss in the world right now, is a great example of that, where he just won't scout like 3/4 of his games if he knows that his opponent isn't doing punishing openings.
And congratulations to Parting on his fresh new haircut, by the way.
I haven't actually seen the result. I'll admit, during ad breaks at the start of yesterday's broadcast, I may have been tabbing out and watching him get it done. But did they end up dyeing it? It looked like they were bleaching it.
I didn't see the end product either, but I mean, it had to be fresher than what he had during that GSL season. That was a mop.
I liked Ajumar Parting, you know?
Yeah,
Auntie
yeah.
Parting. I liked Auntie Parting.
Auntie Parting. We do have a proxy gateway here from Cyan. He's changing things up, but he's doing it into a 3-Rax Terran who has a bunker. He doesn't have it just yet.
Well, this is going to be interesting to see how this goes, with that Stalker, of course, being such a fantastic poking unit. Bunker not quite done, but it should be able to finish up in a moment. 3 Marines, of course, going to force that Stalker back. And it's always interesting when there's a forward proxy like this so early, because, well, you can absolutely bust someone going a Widow Mine drop, a Hellion drop, but someone going 3 racks?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you've seen 3 Marines, now you've seen the bunker. I think as Cyan, you kind of go, ah, that's a bummer. I was hoping there wouldn't be a bunker. Now there is, like, let's not commit too hard. Because it's not a crazy commitment just yet, right? You've got a Twilight on the way. It's not that late. You're still building probes. You just have a forward gateway, which hopefully he doesn't find and is useful later. So I really like that Cyan is not doubling down on it. He doesn't know what we know, which is there's a 3 racks, which is, of course, it wouldn't just be bad because there's a bunker. It would be a disaster because there is so much bio coming out.
Yep. That's right. So he is going to warp in a couple more Stalkers here, but again, this isn't an extreme commitment yet. Oh, going to lose that Adept. Cyan still thinking about it. I mean, obviously he's got Stalkers, might as well, because you outrange the Marines until they got stim. They're not really a huge threat. You can kite them all day, push them back into the bunker, get some damage. But hopefully he doesn't warp in anymore here. Yes, he takes the 3rd base. I think that's a good call from Cyan.
Great split fire from Cyan, and the fact that he's putting that pressure on like this is so sick because he is kind of containing the 3 racks build, and this is so well done by Cyan because he's effectively doing a very greedy opening. But he's giving off the impression and the feeling of, oh my god, this Protoss is like really aggressive right now. I need to kind of knuckle down. That being said, I don't know, man. I feel like Blink Stalkers, if they intercept you as you leave your base with a 3-rack, you're in a terrible position. I think Time needs to get a move on and start his factory. I think the longer he takes to do that, the more trouble he's in.
Yeah, he got started a little bit late. No, I feel like maybe 10 supply later than you would normally get a factory for this build. It's really prioritizing, I guess, making units for a while here.
Heavy Marauder count as well, right? So it is pretty good anti-stalker, I guess.
Well, he gets one there. Blink.
Oh, Blink's not done, right? I was like, where's that Blink? Oh, the stim, you can't heal that stim. So if he wants to use another, it'll cost him. And I think Cyan should have enough if his batteries are up in time. The battery's not ready, Maynard! Does he have enough stalkers? It's going to be tight.
He's going for another stim in here. Blink just finishes now. The probes have to be pulled. The shield battery gets gunned down. Oh no, not like this. Not like this.
Stim does run out. There are good pullbacks on the probes. I think he survives, but he's taken a lot more probes than he wanted to here. 14 do go down in the end of that. But army versus army is obviously a great trade for Cyan overall. But just such a quick stim and good usage of that by Time, realizing, hey, you don't have Blink yet. I can actually jump on you. A dangerous maneuver from Time, but it pays off in economic damage. He now just has to kind of turtle up, weather the counterattack from Cyan, who he's poking across the map. Doesn't look like he's committing too hard as he's just non-stop probing, adding Immortals behind this. And Cyan just going to look for some pickoffs while going to the next step and recovering the economy.
And he's trying to pressure with that army advantage at the moment with those Stalkers and obviously re-probe up on those 3 Nexi. I'm not getting any gas here in the natural, actually. So, I either a mistake or he's looking to go swarmy gateway style still. Oh, some of the Time's army caught on the outside here. Oh, reinforcement for the natural.
Though. Yeah, no concuss. Actually, he does have concussive there, but only 1 Stalker going down. I think that's worth. I mean, there's still no, no good medevac count out. The first medevacs are just about to hit the field, so these Stalkers just wearing down the units. There's not going to be an abundance of healing for them. A little bit of miss micro, losing another Stalker there, but getting Marine kills for it. Overall, good trades and good map control for Cyan. He's got to be careful, though, as Time is very eager to push him back to his side of the map. 3rd command center on the way now for Time. The Immortal count and the Sentry count growing. So Cyan very focused on this kind of mid-game army, but just a few too many of these Stalkers getting picked off. It's Time's relentlessness, engaging. And I think he realizes that Cyan, while a very good player, he's trying to macro. He's trying to go to the next step. It's easy to get caught off guard in these sort of scenarios when you're trying to do that. So up to 8 gateways is Cyan. He's staying relatively low on workers for now. And to be fair, I love that he's gone so sentry heavy, so immortal sentry. This is so good. If Time overcommitted to attack, he could crush it. Problem for him, tank libs are coming in. And if you don't have like power units to deal with that, it can get a little bit dicey, the tanks and libs sieged up. They're very good at dealing with this sort of like early mid-tier Protoss army.
Yeah, I mean, I love the technology choices here from Time. I think that obviously Stalkers can fight the Liberators. Numbers do matter a lot. But Charge unlikely to be here for the next push from Time, as he's moments away from moving out in the map. And the army of Cyan feeling a little just underwhelming against what Time's showing here in the middle of the map.
Indeed. Well, of course, can't push through the grass in the middle. That is a death trap And the Stalker's there looking around to see where that army went. His Stalkers are going to the north, though. Okay, he's still got force fields on the south. Wisely moving forward to intercept that army. Oh, he's actually going to Stalker backstab this. Trying to use force fields there, but the units slip through. Holes in the force fields. Big mistakes here for Cyan. He's trying to do a Stalker backstab, and he just gets jumped on.
And a mistake from Cyan against someone as good as Time is almost going to end the game right there. It kind of looks like that might be the case. Time's army looking way too strong. It will not be denied. That Natural is getting torn asunder here by the siege units of Terran, and the Bio just dives in. The overcharged shield battery healing absolutely nothing. There are no units left, and Time gets the quick, easy, one-sided 3-0 victory over